Welcome, students. Today we're going to be talking about curse tablets and cursing tablets. So the interesting thing here is we have a whole material archive of these. We're not just looking at literature. We do have spells in the Greek magical papyri that explain the recipes for how to make these things, but we physically have them. I remember I was in India one time and I was meeting with a man named Professor Mark Dyczkowski. He's like one of my favorites, great scholar of Tantra. And we were talking about different magical rituals. And I was telling him about one where he took the wing of a crow and the wing of an owl and tied them together with blue thread and slipped a mantra in that had the name of two different people who were intimate. But by virtue of this ritual, they would become hostile. Why? Because crows and owls hate each other. And he said, "Oh, Aaron, I have something to tell you. I was walking on Asigat the other day, a place in the city where he lives, Benares, and he found on the ground at a crossroads even, the wings of a crow, the wings of an owl, blue thread, and he pulled and there was a mantra in it, but it was all written in Arabic script, so he couldn't read it. So kind of exciting. Anyway, so we have these physical items. We have these curse tablets, and we can look at them. We can read them. We can discern them. So let's get into them. I mean, sometimes people will say that this is like the main aspect, or maybe it's like the thing that is thought of the most when somebody thinks about like Greek magic and Greco-Roman magic. They think about these curse tablets. So they bear looking at. Okay, curse tablets are called defixio or defixiones in the plural. And they're used for a wide range of sort of personal development and for also harming people. And sometimes you personally enrich yourself by harming others. It's a magical world after all. So Farone did not treat the curse rituals in his book, and he didn't do it explicitly because these curse tablets actually come quite a bit later than the stuff that he was looking at. Remember that in Farone, it's very much DIY, like you're doing it yourself, as opposed to like hiring a sorcerer who you function as a client as to do the magic for someone else. So, we've found 1,700 of these physical tablets that have been studied and translated and published. And as Radcliffe Edmonds notes, there's going to be more of them. They keep finding them. So we will keep unearthing these because they're often made of lead and we continue to find them. So it's a continuity. And in fact, in a way, when we find these curse rituals, we actually can hear the voices of people from thousands of years ago. People that never would have written a text or have talked to somebody that would have written a Latin or Greek text. And here they are, their hopes, their desires, their pains, and their wishes are right here on these tablets. So they're really interesting to me in the fact that they preserve voices you wouldn't usually see. Now, Edmonds is going to focus once again in his treatment, and this is why I really like his treatment, on not as much on what the texts are, as in what they do, or when they were constructed, or when they were deposited or deployed, but he's really going to ask who was using these rituals and for what reason. Now, if you want to have more details about these actual specific texts, what's going on in them, what, where, when, then those are well documented. And you can look up articles by philologists, people that study language, classicists, those who study Greek and Roman, and archaeologists who have dug up and studied these things. You can go and look at these specific details, but Radcliffe Edmonds is really trying to get you to have an overall understanding of context without getting lost in the data. So we need to ask ourselves, what do these artifacts that we found reveal about magic and about the social situations affected by magic and those who use magic? So what are these things? Well, they're described as a thin sheet called a lamella with writing upon them. Well, let's do a little etymology. Off to the OED. What is lamella? From 1678, we actually find a definition that says a thin plate. This is in the Oxford English Dictionary. A thin plate, scale, layer, or film, especially of bone or tissue. One of the thin scales or plates which compose some shells. One of gills forming in the hymenium of a mushroom. One of the erect scales appended to the corollas of some flowers. So there's a botanical argument here. And we also have that word laminate, as in to put something between two pieces of plastic. So the diminutive of this, so the little version of it, like if I was to say, look at that horse and look at horsiekins over there, Or look at that pup, and look at that puppy. I don't know. Anyway, so it's a diminutive form of the term lamina. Now, what is lamina? We go back even further. 1489, we read that a lamina is a thin plate or a layer of metal or something else. It's a plate of metal that was used actually as an astrological instrument or a charm. So lamina would be, you would put like, you put a symbol for an astrological deity, and then you would carry it around. Like I have a friend who has a little lamina of the god Jupiter because he loves the god Jupiter and the planet Jupiter, and he carries it in his wallet. And his point is Jupiter oversees prosperity, so he wants Jupiter to be looking over his wallet. So from there, we can actually step into something even more vast when it comes to magic. Now, in contemporary esoteric worlds, they have a thing called a lamen. Now, a lamen is used as a sort of magic heraldry, like a symbol for a magical order or a magical person. Aleister Crowley wrote that a lamina is a sort of coat of arms. It expressed the sort of character and the powers of the wearer. And other thinkers think about contemporary esoteric stuff, talk about these symbol systems as being extension of the priestly breastplates that Hebrews would wear. And if you look at old sort of depictions of rabbis and the priests and the Levites who would do the rituals in the old temples in Judaism, you'll see that they always had these jeweled, signified, like written upon breastplates. So I've got three lamens right here. On the left, you'll see the lamen of the contemporary order called the OTO, which I'm a little affiliated with. And this is a symbol that you will see that people wear as a necklace. A lot of people wear it on a ring. I have a patch over there somewhere that I need to sew onto a leather jacket or a denim jacket, probably for me. I ain't fancy. So these represent sort of the essence of a magical order. So on the left, what you're seeing is the vision of Gnostic wisdom descending and the bird dropping down into humanity. In the center, you see the rosy cross. You'll see all sorts of business in there, different pentagrams. You'll see a hexagram. You'll see INRI, which is a mystical formula that you may also be used to seeing atop Catholic depictions of the crucifixion. It's like INRI. A friend of mine used to always joke, you know what INRI means? He's from Calcutta. He said, I nearly reached India. I've always liked that line. So there's a lot of symbolic coding in this symbol that stands almost like your heraldry, almost like the like when I say heraldry, I mean, if you think in the like early Western culture, you would have symbols that would signify a family, or there were heraldry for all of the apostles. Like one had, like Judas had 40 pieces of silver, and then other symbols. So symbolic representations of people. On the right, you'll see the lamen designed by John Dee, who is a man who created the Enochian language once upon a time. You may have heard of Enochian. It's a synthetic language designed by, that is supposedly the language of the angels. And this was something he would use as a charm and also as a symbol for himself.